श्रवणकीर्तनयन्तस्तोहि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतं नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, and today's verse is verse number 13.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. All right. So let's go through the verses and get a feel of the overall verses, and then go to our today's verse. So we will get started. Just give me a minute. Sorry. All right. So as you know, the questions that were posed by Parikshit Maharaj was, what is the ultimate goal of life? What should be done to attain it? And he clarified the question by telling what should be heard, what should be chanted, and what should be remembered, and who should be worshipped. He also added a negative statement to say what should not be heard, what should not be remembered, what should not be chanted, and who should not be worshipped. And then, we have the answer: who should not, and what should not be heard. For those people who are not interested in self-realization, for them there are many subject matters to be heard, chanted, and remembered. And such people, they are completely absorbed in maintaining their own bodies, their houses, family members. And such people spend their night how? By sleeping and in sexual activities, and during the day they are engaged in their livelihood by supporting their family members. In this way, what is happening? All their time is exhausted, and not a single minute is spent in self-realization. And then, so what is this person trying to do? This person whom we spoke about in the previous verse, they develop a strong faith in the Asat Sena. That is, they're having these false soldiers, such as body, family, and all that. And and even though death is coming very close to them, there is a good chance that they may lose the opportunity. They may lose the opportunity for what? For self-realization, but still they are completely in ignorance, and they don't consider the subject matter very seriously. Therefore, I'm telling you, my dear Parikshit Maharaj, if you desire to be fearless, if you want to be fearless, if you're desiring that, who are fearful? Those people who want liberation. Will I get liberation? What is the answer? Yes, of course you're going to get liberation. Krishna, the Supreme Lord Hari, he is Sarvatma. He is the super soul in everybody's heart. He is the one who needs to be worshipped. He is the one who needs to be realized in order for you to attain liberation. So definitely hearing and chanting Lord Hari's name in the name, qualities, and form and pastimes will make you attain that fearlessness. Oh, now we spoke about who? We spoke about a person who wants liberation. What about a Raganuga Bhakta? This person, Raganuga Sadhaka, he is also really concerned about whether he's going to attain Krishna or not. Then the answer is, no, don't worry. We have Bhagavan. He is the one who has all kind of charming qualities, and he will be the one who will attract you. So definitely get attracted to him. Care about him, chant his holy names, and remember his pastimes. This way, Raganuga Sadhaka is going to get fearlessness. And what about a Vaidhi Sadhaka who's fearful? Oh, when am I going to control my senses? My senses are troubling me like crazy. When am I going to control my mind? When am I going to engage these senses and mind in the service of Krishna? If this is your concern, don't worry. Krishna, he is Ishvaraha. He is the controller of everything. By control, if he is able to control everything, there's nothing, it's just it's nothing for him to control your mind and senses. It's not at all a difficult thing for him because he controls this whole world. So stop your fear, dear devotee, dear Vaidhi Sadhaka. Engage in Shravanam, Kirtanam, and chanting and remembering the holy names of the Lord's qualities and form, and also his pastimes. Therefore, this is the ultimate solution for everyone. But Parikshit Maharaj may say, oh, this is seeming like a very, very sectarian kind of answer. I'm expecting a universal answer, my dear Sukadev, which would be applicable for everyone. But Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, these are the limbs of devotional service. But people in this world, there are Jnana yogis, there are Ashtanga yogis, there are outright materialists. They may not be able to accept this process and the goals that you are talking about. See, for that, the answer given by our Sukadev is that, see, Parikshit, you did not ask me about various goals, and people may pursue and they may have different means to attain their goals. There are many, many ways, but you asked about what is the highest goal for humanity, right? What is the highest goal is what you asked. From an objective standpoint, what is the highest goal of life? And there is only one way of attaining, the objective goal is to attain Krishna. And the only one way of attaining Krishna Prema is by sadhana bhakti, which is characterized by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So therefore, what I'm giving you is not a sectarian answer, because you wanted this highest goal. I'm giving you a proposed sadhana for the highest goal. Okay, I have given a very, very reasonable answer because the goal you propose is the highest goal. There's only one means to attain this highest goal. So, therefore, then the 6th verse is coming. That's saying, therefore, a person, he may be a Jnana yogi, Ashtanga yogi. The moment he realizes the ultimate goal of life, that is Krishna Prema, then what happens to him? This person who understands that Krishna Prema is the ultimate goal, he puts a full stop to all other processes, my dear devotees. Meaning karma, jnana, ashtanga. And he puts full stop, ante narayana smriti, and then puts a full stop and indulges in the process of bhakti. There's no other choice, Puts a full stop to all other processes. So therefore, this is not a sectarian answer. I'm giving you a very, very reasonable answer, and this is the fact. But till a person realizes the ultimate goal of life is Krishna Prema, he will keep on pursuing the other goals that we have. Yes, karma, yes, jnana, yes, ashtanga. Why not? For the various goals he has in life. But the moment he realizes the ultimate goal is prema, and the only way to attain this prema is through sadhana bhakti, there is no other way, then he puts a full stop to all other processes that he has been practicing, which could be karma, jnana, or yoga. And then what he is going to do? He is going to embrace bhakti, dear devotees. This is till verse 6. Now verse 7. So actually, there are many, many sages like Parikshit Maharaj who were free from the rules and prohibitions of the Dharma Shastras because their heart was purified. They were situated beyond the modes. But still, such people, they took great pleasure in enjoying the Harikatha. Because why? It was so attractive. So like these people, there are many, many examples. And then Parikshit Maharaj may say, oh, okay, I'm seeing some examples here. Even there are people who are Jnana yogis, Ashtanga yogis. They are situated beyond, these people, they are enjoying Harikatha because it is attractive. But can you give me a more specific example? Like that he may ask. So the 7th verse is telling, see, you mean even the perfected personalities who have perfected the path of Jnana, they will give up this jnana to perform devotional service. Is that right? Yes, it's right. He says, oh Raja, oh King, generally the sages who are beyond the rules and prohibitions. Generally, rules and prohibitions means what? They apply to Dharma Shastras. So Dharma Shastras may have many rules and regulations. You should do this. You cannot do this. You're supposed to perform this. All that are the rules, and don'ts are the regulations that needs to be voided. So those who have become qualified for Jnana Yoga, they go beyond the rules and regulations. They go beyond the Vidhi and Nishedh. Why? Because these people are situated beyond the gunas. See, Nishkama Karma Yoga, once they have perfected that Nishkama Karma, they are very much, what happens to such a devotee? They become, when it comes to the dualities, they very much are able to take the dualities because they are free from the modes. That's when they become qualified for Jnana Yoga. So these people are personalities, they are Nair Gunastha. They are beyond the influence of the three modes. They have become purified. And they are beyond the control of rules and regulations that are proposed by the Dharma Shastras. So, but still, they take interest in glorifying the qualities of the Lords. They are actually Atma Rama. They are self-satisfied. Self-satisfied means they don't need anything extra to make them happy. But even such people, they take pleasure in glorification of the Supreme Lord. This has been observed, and this observation is presented by Sukadev Goswami to our Parikshit Maharaj. Generally, Munayaha, that is sages, they are beyond the rules and regulations of the Shastras because they are beyond the rules, beyond the modes. Even they sometimes take pleasure in what? Hari, Lord Hari, glorification of Lord Hari. So the perfection, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Path, he says, the perfection is to realize the sweetness of the qualities in the form of the Lord. This is far superior to merging into Brahman. So this verse gives some sort of proof of the realization of the Lord, how it can be even more sweeter. Because when will you feel satisfied? Because what happens in these Atma Rama sages? What is it that makes them pursue these name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord? Because they are self-satisfied. Why should they pursue? What makes them to pursue? See, when someone has a particular definition of success, he has achieved that definition of success, he feels satisfied. But all of a sudden, when he becomes aware of a higher standard of success, which is not yet achieved from him, then immediately that self-satisfaction is gone, right? So for such personalities who are Atma Ramas, who have perfected Jnana Yogis, who have attained the state of Brahman realization, as soon as they realize there is something higher, by the association of pure devotees, somehow they develop this pure devotional faith, and then they start realizing, no, I no longer have the state of perfection. The real perfection is to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, and I don't have that perfection. And what it means to attain the lotus feet of Krishna? To talk about his name, form, qualities, every moment. So these Atma Ramas, they have the seed of devotion now because of coming in touch with these pure devotees, and immediately they lose the status of this Atma Rama. They become dissatisfied. Dissatisfaction is for good, because with the dissatisfaction comes humility, right? And these Atma Ramas, they kind of now feel what inferior. So they give that self-satisfiedness on the inferior platform. Oh, the self-satisfaction that I have, it's inferior. And the pure devotion is what I need to achieve. Even though they are beyond the gunas, dear devotees, they have become liberated, and they start to take pleasure in the glorification of the Lord. So the word generally used is some Jivan Muktas, they perform some glorification for the Lord's qualities in order to merge with the Brahman. And they don't take pleasure. So when the Jivan Muktas, they do bhakti, they don't take pleasure in these glorification. They just perform it as a limb. Not all Jivan Muktas are fortunate enough to come across a pure devotee, because idrashya, it is costless. Not everyone is fortunate enough. Some of them, they accept the limbs of bhakti and then pursue this path of pure devotion, but only some, because it is idrashya, it's costless. So Parikshit Maharaj may say, what you're telling is kind of generic. There are many people you're talking about. I trust you, but I want a specific example. Can you give practical examples of those who are Atma Ramas? They gave up their Atma Rama situation and they became attracted to the Supreme Lord. What you are telling now, Sukadev Goswami, you are telling very nice thing that Atma Rama, they give up their self-satisfaction status and they start to glorify the Supreme Lord when they come in touch with the pure devotees. I accept it. I accept it. No worries on that. But what you're saying is kind of a generic example. You're talking about many Atma Ramas who become like that. But you know what? I really want a specific example of a person who's in his life, this has happened. He gave up his Brahman realization and he started to glorify the Lord. Who is that person? Can you tell me a real life example? Then for that, our Sukadev Goswami has a very, very good example. What example can be better than this, dear devotees? Sukadev Goswami is saying, why do you go elsewhere? I'll give you my own example. Look at me. Look at me. So he's going to talk about him now. Sukadev Goswami is going to give his own example. Actually, take my example. I diligently studied Bhagavatam under the tutelage of my father at the end of Dwapara Yuga. So someone may say, how is this a reasonable explanation? How is this a reasonable example? How are you an example for this principle that you have presented us? What is this and how are you an example of this? Somebody may ask. He says, Sukadev says, I am a perfectly Brahman realized person. I was self-satisfied. But you know, somehow by the mercy of Vyasadeva, my father and others, I have received the seed of pure devotion. Then that self-satisfiedness, that Atma Rama status was lost. And I realized there is a higher bliss in realizing the Lord's lotus feet, which could be realized through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, I studied Srimad Bhagavatam very, very diligently under the tutelage of my father. Are you all able to understand the sequence, dear devotees, so far? It's a very interesting set of sequence that we have seen so far, where we spoke about Atma Ramas and how Atma Rama status goes away when they come in association of a pure devotee of a Lord, because they realize that they have higher bliss than even self-realization, right? Or Brahman realization for that matter. So they say, okay, whatever I have achieved, that is just inferior. So now I have to strive to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. This is what is real perfection. So now that was told. And then Parikshit Maharaj, I want a specific example. And for that specific example, we have the life of Sukadev Goswami. Meaning Sukadev Goswami saying, I am that person. This is what is the scenario till verse number 7. And now verse number 8. So the verse number 8 is telling, see, the scripture concerning the Supreme Lord is a Purana equal to the Lord himself. I learned the scripture, that is Bhagavatam, from my father at the beginning of the last part of Dwapara Yuga. So you all know, right? Yuga is divided into three parts actually. There are two Yuga Sandhis. There are two Yuga Sandhis. One is called a Purva Yuga Sandhi, another is called Uttara Yuga Sandhi. The Purva Yuga Sandhi is the first part. And then Yuga cycle comes. And then Uttara Yuga Sandhi is the last, okay? So this is like 10, you can keep it like 10% is Purva Yuga Sandhi, then Yuga cycle comes, which is 80%. That's the actual Yuga. And then the 10% is, again, in the last, it's Uttara Yuga Sandhi. So the Yuga Sandhi is where, just listen carefully on this point, is the time when the symptoms of both the previous Yuga and the current Yuga exist. So if you take Purva Yuga Sandhi, if you take this to be Kali Yuga, in the Purva Yuga Sandhi, there will be symptoms of both Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. And if you take Uttara Yuga Sandhi, here there will be symptoms of Kali Yuga and Satya Yuga. Are you able to understand? So Purva Yuga Sandhi means, so whatever is the current Yuga, you will have the symptoms of that and the previous Yuga. That's what is Yuga Sandhi. So that's simple. Now, here, so we just had a percentage breakdown just for your understanding, and it may not be just 10, 80, 10. Okay, please keep that in mind. So, considering at the time of duration of Kali Yuga was 432,000 years, actually the Purva Yuga Sandhi is 10% if you put now, it is 43,200 years. So we hardly have crossed 43,200 years. We still have much more to cross in the Yuga Sandhi of Kali Yuga. We have not even entered Kali Yuga, right? We are still in the Yuga Sandhya period only. Like that, we have to understand. So he's saying, I learned the scripture from Vyasadeva at the beginning of the last part of Dwapara Yuga. So the last part of Dwapara Yuga is the previous Yuga Sandhi, right? So now Parikshit Maharaj is asking, give me some examples. And for that, our Sukadev is saying, I am the example. I studied Srimad Bhagavatam. Someone who might not know the history of Sukadev Goswami, he may say how he is an example. Okay, Sukadev studied Srimad Bhagavatam, so what? How is that really an example of Atma Rama? How is he? Someone may ask now. So that is what is going to be answered. This is what is going to be explained. So Bhagavatam means what is spoken by the Lord and what is concerning the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada says, by the Lord, I mean, whatever is spoken by the Lord is Gita, and concerning the Lord, it is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Idam Bhagavatam can mean this work is, it's out of Lord. The scripture is filled with the pastimes of the Lord, and it is revealed through the question and answers between Sukadev and Parikshit Maharaj. It contains the realization of Atma through discussing creation, maintenance, and destruction for the benefit of you, not only you, Parikshit Maharaj, but others also. This Bhagavatam, it is a cream of all Upanishads, and it is eternally perfect, and it appeared through my father Vyasadeva. This is what Sukadev is saying. And it is equal to the Supreme Brahman. Of course, it is Brahma Samhitam. And he says, how did you attain it? If you are asking that question, it was taught to me. The meaning of scripture is impossible to be able to understand by your own intelligence. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One can understand Supreme Lord, the Brahman aspect or Paramatma aspect or Bhagavan aspect by accepting an Acharya and learning it from him. Since Vyasa appeared in Vyasa appeared in Satyavati not long before Krishna's appearance. So Dwapara means, I mean, obviously that's why they are saying at the beginning of the last part of Dwapara Yuga. Okay. So Prabhupada also gives further explanation about this particular Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Adav, he is asking us to consider that, there was this, Prabhupada actually uses Jiva Goswami's commentary to help us understand what this Dwapara Adav means. Meaning, which means towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, towards the end of Yuga Sandhi of Dwapara Yuga, but it's called Adav. So that's why we are taking it from this side. If you look at it from this side, then it is, it's like, beginning. It is like, that's why Adav is used. Say, for example, Prabhupada gives this example of the root. The root is always beginning of the tree, right? It is the beginning of the tree. You can say it's the crown of the tree. You indicate the crown of the tree to be the beginning. Even though root is, the thing is, the root is actually the beginning of the tree, he says. So in the same way, Dwapara Adav means it should actually mean the end of Dwapara Yuga. But if we see in the opposite direction, then it is the beginning of Dwapara Yuga. This is how Jiva Goswami clarifies this to help us understand this particular point. I mean, it's not a big deal, but if you look at it from this side, it will be beginning of Dwapara Yuga, right? That's what Prabhupada helps us to understand through the purport of, through the commentary of Jiva Goswami. And clarifies this with an example of root. How it is like that, he says. Okay, so he just points out this example of root to help us understand that it is the most important part of the tree, and it's the beginning of the tree, like that. Now, coming to verse 9 and 10. So now, I'm going to narrate. So Sukadeva is saying, I'm going to narrate the Srimad Bhagavatam to you. But you are Mahapurusha. You have the Supreme Lord within your heart, my dear Parikshit. You are not an ordinary person, my dear Parikshit Maharaj. Your heart is very, very pure. As soon as you faithfully hear this narration, you will immediately run towards Krishna. And he says that. So this is what, the next question that arises, which is the best, right? So he says, which is the best, meaning is Shravanam best or Kirtanam best or Smaranam best? Which is the best? Of the three, which is the best is the question posed. And for that, our Shukadev Goswami is going to answer also. But we'll try to see some more of this. Before that, we just go through some more points in verse number 9. So what is the proof of Atma Rama, the self-satisfied people? Why they take up to Bhakti? What is the proof? He tells about his own story. This is what we saw. He was a Brahman realized sage. And when he heard the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, he understood, oh my God, Krishna is such a compassionate person. Another person, when he started to describe the beauty of Krishna and Vrindavan, his heart melted upon hearing such verses. My mind, he says, my mind then became attracted to the pastimes of the Lord. And thus I learned about his pastimes. Sukadev is giving his own example. And I'm going to share what I have heard from my father and other teachers. He says that I'm going to tell you, my dear Parikshit Maharaj, I'm going to tell you that story. Don't worry. You are not an ordinary person. I know that. You're such a great personality. Sukadev Goswami clearly knows what happened with Parikshit Maharaj, how he came to the bank of Ganga. He knew that he performed an act of incorrigible act of garlanding the exalted sage, such as Samik Rishi, with a dead snake. He knows that. Despite knowing all this, despite knowing all this means, because he knew that this act was an act of Yogamaya. That is, who knows this? Sukadev. Our Sukadev knows about Parikshit. So whatever has happened in his life, it's actually an act performed by Krishna himself. It's the Yogamaya potency of the Lord that acted upon this situation. And he understood that. And he was thinking like that. He says, yeah. Sukadev is telling about Parikshit. You are such an exalted personality. You are a great personality. You will quickly be fixed, onto Krishna after hearing this narration from Srimad Bhagavatam. We know this verse, right? The second verse. Dharma projita kaitavotra parama nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni kim va pareshwara Satyo kritya varudyate takritivi sushtrushubi takshanat. We know there are two kinds of people who take up Srimad Bhagavatam. One is Kritibihi, another is Sushrushvi. Kritibihi is one who is very accomplished in hearing the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Another is Sushrushvi. So Kritibihi means he is accomplished in what? Hearing the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. He is a very, very exalted personality. And Sushrushvi is a person who is eager but not yet purified. He is very eager to listen. Desire, he's having that. But he becomes the one who is eager is not purified. But after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he becomes purified and qualified. But Kritibihi is already a qualified person. It's already a perfected soul. But as soon as he hears Srimad Bhagavatam, his mind immediately runs to Krishna. His mind immediately runs Gange Vaugam Udanvati. Right? Like Kunti Maharani says, immediately, like how the river flows, immediately the mind will flow towards Krishna. That was the case with Pundarik Vidyaniti also. So, Parikshit, our Sukadev is saying, you are such a great personality. Your mind will quickly fix on Krishna as soon as you hear Srimad Bhagavatam. You're a Mahapaurishika. You're amongst the Kritibi. When you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, your mind is automatically going to fix upon Krishna, which is already pure. Your mind is automatically going to run. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura brings up this beautiful point to say that so obviously our Sukadev Goswami, he from birth had the realization of Brahman, and he left his house to walk around, to walk the world. He understand he's a Brahman realized his age, and Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukha, you're a famous Brahman realized person. Right from your womb of your mother, you are Brahman realized. You didn't even wait to respond to your father who was running behind you. How can you say all this? Because, how you're going to talk about Lord's glories? You are Brahman realized person. And this verse is going to explain that, yes, you're right, Parikshit. I'm a Brahman realized aged, born even from the womb of my mother, and I did not respond to my father, immediately left the womb of my mother as soon as I was born, and I just didn't care out for my father who was trying to respond to me. And you're right about all this. I don't disagree with you. And so now I'm going to give you my own example to prove the fact that my mind became, even though I was 16 Brahman, my mind became attracted to the pastimes of the Lord. I am the proof that pastime of the Lord's is sweeter than the realization of Brahman. I am that proof. You can take it from me that, you can see me as an example that, when it comes to Brahman realization, or when it comes to the pastimes of hearing the pastimes of the Lord, I can very well vouch the fact that attraction to the pastimes of the Lord is much greater and much sweeter than the realization of Brahman. Oh, you are watching for that. Then Parikshit is saying, I should also attain that such a thing that you are talking about. I also desire to taste what you are talking about, the pastimes of the Lord from my head down to my foot. I want to taste that. I want to taste Bhagavatam. I want to taste the glorification of the Lord. I want to taste all that, because you are vouching yourself saying, even though you are a Brahman realized age, but you have become attracted to the pastimes of the Lord. If you are able to become attracted, then I also want to be attracted to the Lord like you, my dear Sukadev Goswami. So seeing the eagerness in Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadev Goswami is speaking. Oh, you are a person who should attain Krishna. You are Mahapurusha. You are Mahapaurushika. See, Mahapaurushika means, Mahapurusha is Krishna. Mahapaurushika is Parikshit Maharaj. He is the fittest person to attain Krishna. That's the meaning. So you are very, very qualified. You can attain that Mahapurusha by following the words, words of Bhagavatam. You can definitely attain. So this is the point. And now, so now we have to understand the following verses, right? I mean, obviously there is, we spoke till verse number 10, and we'll be talking about 11 now. So now, so how, the question is, what is the question? Now, Sukadev Goswami, so please, he's telling, oh, please hear the Bhagavatam spoken by Sukadev. So Sukha is going to speak Bhagavatam, and that is going to help you go to that Mahapurusha. So this is the thing. And for that, he's just telling, Sukadev is telling, oh king, what you have to do is continuously chant the name of the Lord. Hare Naman Kirtanam. This has been prescribed. Nirnitam. For whom? For devotees. For why they are prescribed this prescription? Because they are the ones, they are having the desire for, they want to attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? So for them, this is prescribed. So, Harir Namanu Kirtanam, Kirtanam means chanting, right? Anu means continuous. Continuous chanting of the name of the Lord. Nirnitam. Nirnitam means this verdict has been concluded. It is not like it is considered. No. All the research work has been done, and one has come to the firm conclusion. Nirnitam. The learned people have come to a conclusion. Harir Namanu Kirtanam is the prescribed method for devotees, for developing attachment for developing attachment towards Krishna, and developing no attachment to the goals of material benefits or liberation, right? If you are wanting to get attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna, immediately this material goals and the things that you have, liberation, all that, you become detached to. And for those people who are desiring liberation and material elevation and yogina, for those people who are satisfied with the self, for all these people also, Hare Namanu Kirtanam, that is the continuous chanting of the holy names of the Lord, it is also prescribed for them. For whom? Not just for the devotees. The devotees, we want to attain the lotus feet of the Lord, and because we want to attain the lotus feet of the Lord, the other material goals, liberation, everything, they become detached to it. Okay, no problem. Then Hare Namanu Kirtanam is also recommended for those who want liberation, those who want to have material goals, those who want to become materially elevated, a yogina, even for those people, this Hare Namanu Kirtanam is recommended. The continuous chanting of the glories of the holy names of the Lord is recommended. So we were asked this question amongst the three, which is the superior, right? So Hare Namanu Kirtanam. If somebody desires so many, one can argue, right? If you have other abhilashas, you have to practice karma, jnana. No, this verse is refuting all that to say, even those people who have material goals, they can pursue the Hare Namanu Kirtanam. This is Nirnitam. It has been concluded. It has been researched by different scholars, and it has been concluded that Hare Namanu Kirtanam can just be done not only for devotees, but also the other people with other material goals. We also know the other one from Srimad Bhagavatam, the famous verse, Akama Sarva Kamova Moksha Kama Utaratihi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. Right? We know. So one may be an Akama, one may have no material desire for liberation. Sarva Kama, he may have all kinds of material desires. He may be a Karmi or Karma Yogi or having many material desires. Moksha Kama, he may have the desire of liberation. What he should do? He should do Tivra Bhakti Yoga. Tivra Bhakti means Jnana Karma, the Anavrita Bhakti. Shavana Kirtana Smaranatmika Bhakti. That which is not mixed with karma, jnana and yoga, he has to perform that. Oh, you have material goals? No problem. Perform Hare Namanu Kirtanam. Don't mix it with karma, jnana and yoga. This is the point. So, Bhagavatam says, okay, even if you have other abhilashas, even if you have desire to go to Swarga, go and attain liberation, the best and the easiest way to do that, what is that? Easiest way that is recommended is jnana, karma, anavrita bhakti. Bhakti which is not mixed with karma and jnana. That sort of bhakti you should perform. Hare Namanu Kirtanam means continuous chanting of the name of the glories of the holy names of the Lord. This has been prescribed by all of them. So bhakti, dangas of bhakti, which one is defined as the chief? Which one is standing out as an emperor? This verse answers that question. Of all the limbs of devotional service, Hare Namanu Kirtanam is the most powerful limb. So amongst in chanting, the Lord's holy names. The chanting means his qualities, his pastimes. Anu Kirtanam is the best. Chanting the name of the Lord, that is the best. That is the chief. So as I told you, Anu means continuous, Anu Rupa, according to one's bhakti, which means if one is attached to Rama, then he has to chant the holy names of Ramachandra, which is best for him. If one is attached to Narsimha, then he chants the name of Narsimha, which is best for him. If one is attached to Lord Madana Gopal, he chants Lord Madana Gopal's name, which is the best for him. Namanu Rupa, Namanu Anurupa Kirtana. According to one's bhakti, Anu means continuous chanting. This is described by the previous acharyas. So they clarifies to say, I'm not telling you this. It is concluded, Nirnitam. It is concluded by our previous acharyas. Therefore, it's a verdict of them. Conclusion has been given. No need to inquire for proof. Nirnitam, it has been already concluded. No need for further proof. All research has been done by these great personalities and they have concluded upon it. There's no fear of purity or impurity concerning this. No. You don't have to fear, oh, time, place, circumstance, nothing like that. Because that's applicable to Karma Yoga, not this process. So no consideration is there. There is no hard and fast rules to chant the holy names of the Lord. This means even an outcast who cannot tolerate serving the Lord, who cannot, even an impure person is allowed to chant the names of the Lord. We know so many verses in Bhagavatam which talks about the Chandala, being eligible to chant the names of the Lord. And this is by chanting the names of the holy names of the Lord, this is the easiest and a powerful way to attain success, provided he has deep attachment to the process of chanting. See, now one may ask this question, oh, I am having attraction to the other limbs of devotional service. Is it fine? In Brigad Bhagavatamrita also, Gopakumar and Vaikuntavasis, they also present Harinam Sankirtan is the topmost limb of devotional service. But having said that, in reality, holy name is most powerful. Yes. What about other limbs? Whatever limb of devotional service that they are performing, they should be deeply attached to that limb. And that way it becomes more potent. But if one does not have attraction to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and still that person can predominantly perform the limb he is attached to, it cannot be exclusive. Whatever attachment he is having towards the limb, he cannot perform it as an exclusive one. This chanting has to be there. This is the point. Exclusivity is recommended, for only one limb, which is chanting the names of the Lord. But the rest of the limbs, exclusivity is not recommended. For one who is extremely attached to serving the deities, he should serve the deities, but not only that, excuse me, dear devotees, my son is just knocking the door. Sorry, dear devotees, I'm extremely sorry. So that's the point. Okay, exclusivity is there for chanting, but when it comes to the other limbs, you have to do it with the chanting process. This is the point. That's the recommendation of our acharyas, and also because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come to spread the holy names of the Lord, and that is the Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma of Kali is chanting the names of the Lord. That is why it is a potent limb. Even he may be attracted to deity worship, but he should also chant parallelly. Okay, this is the way we please the Lord. Because this is our Yuga Dharma, we have to perform, and this is what is given by our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other acharyas. So, this is the chanting is for those, obviously, anybody, even a person who wants material elevation, he wants liberation, he wants the other material goals, no problem. He can chant the glories of the holy names of the Lord and be able to attain that whatever he wants, be it Surga or be it liberation, whatever. But again, it should be Jnana Karmadi Anavrita Bhakti. Okay? So this way, he's going to quickly attain the goal, whatever he wants. Now, okay, you mentioned the highest goal. What is the means to attain the highest goal? Are we sure about that? Are you all understanding what is the highest goal? It was talked about Ante Narayana Smriti. That was the highest goal. And how to attain that highest goal? Harir Namanu Kirtanam. Shravanam Kirtanam, Smaranatmika Bhakti. Of the three, when to attain the means to attain the highest goal is Shravana, Kirtana, Smaranatmika Bhakti. But of that, which is the highest? Harir Namanu Kirtanam. This is so far what we have seen. But Parikshit Maharaj is saying, oh my Sukadev, I have only 7 days to live. The process you may prescribe, it can be very potent, no doubt. but you should consider I have only 7 days to live. You may give me the best process, but do I have sufficient time to practice or perfect it? Otherwise, what is the use, Sukadeva Goswami? In response to this, our Sukadeva Goswami is answering this particular verse, that is verse number 12. What is the use of many years? What is the use? A person who is materially engrossed, he to the extent of being mad, what is the use of many years of him being alive in this world? Who is totally mad? And he's after material sense gratification. The most important thing a person should do is to utilize his time properly. Right? Whatever time he has to utilize that properly. Having a lot of time and not knowing what to do, you may end up doing things which may regress you from the path of devotional service. Isn't it? What is the use of many years of materially engaged person without noticing that that number of years he has is passed uselessly? Therefore, great acharyas, they say that time is not a luxury, especially if we don't know how to utilize it. So therefore, one moment passed uselessly, one can, if it is passed uselessly, it's just Shramayeva hi kevalam, right? It's just a waste of time. One muhurtam, the one moment has passed uselessly. One can't inquire into this best engagement. So unless a person who has realized that my life is passing away uselessly, and then he inquires, one realizes my life is getting wasted, then he starts inquiring about his ultimate goal of life. Then after that, every single moment to that person, it's a useful time. But if one has not realized it, if one has not realized that, he needs to inquire about the ultimate goal of life, then even though he has many years, it is all useless. It's all useless time. The time that is spent on sense gratification, the person, he even if he lives short, but if he knows the goal, ultimate goal of his life and how to attain that goal, that person's life he can perfect. Even though his life is short, he can perfect his life. But not the other one who doesn't. He has many years to live, but doesn't know the goal of life and what to perform to attain that goal. That is the point. So Parikshit Maharaj may say, oh, I have very little time left. What am I supposed to follow? One should not worry in this way. This is expressed in these 3 verses going to come. What is the use of living many years without knowing that life has passed uselessly? To know that a moment has passed uselessly is better, because by knowing so, one can actually make efforts to spiritualize his life. This is like Prabhu Srila Prabhupada always says, practicing spirituality with a sense of urgency. So there is a sense of urgency in one's material pursuits and being impatient. See, having the sense of urgency means, I know I have very little time left. We may think that a sense of urgency, but it can actually be translated into impatience also. Impatience means, impatience in spiritual life, actually is a result of improper understanding of one expects what one expects. Improper understanding. When one expects prematurely the results, disproportionate to the effort that he has put, that leads to impatience. Okay. So why is the result not coming? I am working so hard day and night. Why is Krishna not giving me mercy? This is impatient. There's an artificial sense of entitlement. The result should be coming to me right now. Why is it not coming? This is a sense of entitlement. But urgency means, the sense of urgency, it's not accompanied by impatience at all. Okay. So one can patiently pursue with a sense of urgency. They are not mutually exclusive qualities. So the sense of urgency, it's a realistic understanding that I don't know when my death is coming. I don't know in my next life, even though I may be guaranteed a human birth. But when I will take up to this process of devotional service, I don't know these things. With this limited available time, whatever I have, let me just prioritize. Whatever is important when it comes to spirituality, let me prioritize this. So this is what urgency is. So a realistic expectation of my own practice without, wanting for any kind of result. Just with a goal and motive to please Krishna, you perform an activity, which is what we need to strive for, right? So that's what differentiates impatience from, one second. Sorry, dear devotees, my son is going to a soccer game and he just wants so many things right now. But anyways, so this is the verse that talking about how we have to do our sadhana without any expectations. And then the final verse for today, I just take 1 minute. This is to prove why, see, Katvanga Maharaj's example is given in the 13th verse. He says, the first thing, what is Katvanga Maharaj? He's not an ordinary king. He was a Rajarishi, which means he's a very exalted personality already. So knowing how long he had to live, what did he do? From that moment of knowing, what did he do? He gave up everything that he had. And then started practicing and then started practicing devotional service immediately. So knowing how long he had to live, from that moment, he gave up everything, which means he gave up all kinds of whatever he was, having. He gave up everything. And then what did he do? He immediately utilized his time in Krishna consciousness. So now, it is, one may ask this question. It's not like Katwang Maharaj, till the moment he learned how much time he has got to live, he was not an outright materialistic person, right? Before that, was he outright material? How would you judge that? He just knows about his death, and now he became very, he became Krishna conscious. Can we say like that? No. So otherwise, what would happen? The best preaching means somebody would go to hospital, okay, find out from the doctor how long I have time to live, and then they will get that prescription. Okay, 10 years you have time, and then they will start bhakti just from the 9th year or even the 11th month of the ending year, isn't it? And then they will start chanting the holy names of the Lord. Does it happen like that? No. Khatwang Maharaj's example proves up his point that, see, he has practiced his bhakti lifelong. That's why when he came to know about his death, that he has one muhurta to live, he was able to practice bhakti even during that time. The knowledge of one's death does not inspire one to take up bhakti. It does not inspire one to start bhakti. But knowledge of how much time one has, if he already has faith in bhakti, then he may become alert and serious. Knowing how long he has, if he has already practiced bhakti and if he has already faith in bhakti, then he may be serious about it. That is what happened in the case of Katvanga Maharaj. He was a Rajarishi already. He was already doing devotional service. He was a king. He was performing kingly duties. But again, performing kingly duties, we also know, one can perform kingly duties at the same time be engaged in devotional service. As soon as he came to know about his death, he perfected his life. Why? Because he's always been practicing devotional service. This is the understanding. That is why Katvanga Maharaj's example is given to prove the fact that one cannot just attain bhakti knowing he's going to die. No, he's already a devotee. He's already having faith in devotional service. And that is why he's able to perfect at this time. So with this, we will conclude, dear devotees. I'm so sorry I went 2 minutes over. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our acharyas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for this wonderful session. as usual, we get the continuity of what is happening in this canto and in this verse. Very nice to have recap all the verses, and also importance of hearing and then chanting. And then how to go on with our bhakti. Those are the things you stress in your class. I would like to request the devotees, if you have any questions or comments, please unmute and ask.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams, all glories to
Hare.
Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, wonderful session. And actually, we know that we have to be praying, and only when at the time of death, by Krishna's mercy, we will be able to think of him. It is not at the last minute we can do it. That is a separate message we have received through many sessions. And Khatvanga Maharaja, we know that he had a last moment and then he tried practicing. So don't think you are very late to bhakti. But today you related these two. It was a new message for me actually. So Khatvanga Maharaja, he practiced, but he already had that fire going. That's why he was able to intensify that fire. It is not that he didn't lit the fire at all. So that was great, Mataji. So we have to keep going. And I have seen many people taking this as a soothing reason to come to bhakti at a later period, saying that, see, even Khatvanga Maharaja did later time. So maybe by God's mercy, I will also have that time. But everything clarified today. Wonderful message, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
Thanks
You
for
always
motivating
take
and
the essence,
inspiring us.
Mataji. You always
Hare
take the
Krishna.
essence. Very good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much. As usual, nice class, deep philosophy and clear understanding. That message that you are sending to us. As you said, we should not wait for the last minute, but there are some people, one true story that happened in my country of birth. So this person, he went to listen to Bhagavad Katha, and there he listened the first time of Ajamil. So he went home. He said Ajamil was calling his son. So he had 4 sons. He called all 4 sons and changed their name into Govinda, Gopala, Damodara, and Krishna's name. He said, I will enjoy now at the time of death. I will call their names, so I will get mukti. And what happened at the time of death? He was a big businessman. So at the time of death, he started calling because he was lying there and he's calling his sons. So the wife, he called all the sons. He says, your father is dying, now come. They left the business, they came in by his bedside. Now, he lifted his eyes, opened his eyes and looked at the sons around. He said, I called you, yes, but all of you are here. Who's taking care of the business? I'm still alive and my business is going to be ruined now. My business, as soon as my business, he was like he expressed his last breath. So what happened then? When he passed away, what was on his mind? Business. So he had to come back in that mood again. So we should not take that for granted that at the time of death, I'm going to chant, I'm going to become near the Lord. No, we have to start practicing very, very early as we can. Put our children on that mode also. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful example, Mataji. That's a real-time example also you mentioned. So beautiful, Mataji. Definitely, we have to keep telling ourselves that we can't take anything for granted and utilize whatever time to the best of our ability as possible, as much as possible. Yeah, wonderful point.
Thank you, Mataji. So time management is another vast subject. We can all learn from you that how to utilize the time. We with the gadgets what we have now, it's easy to get lost in the messages in the YouTube channels, even though you're maybe browsing for Krishna conscious content, but still you can be lost in many other things. So time management is another challenging thing for a devotee. Yes, thank you so much for all these insights. I request all the devotees to unmute and chant Hare Krishna mantra once in glorification of Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta
Shrila
Koti
Prabhupada
Vaishnavji Jai,
ki jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki
All glories to
jai.
Jai.
all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.